Oh, he just came out and said it.
Of the California National Guard. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
Stephen?
He knows he knows what he just said.
Hey, Stephen, can you hear me? It seemed, Stephen, I apologize. It seems like we're having a technical issue.
Plenary authority. Plenary authority. Remember that. That's what he's claiming. At least now we know that his fear response is freeze. And if you're not sure what plenary means, I gotcha. Complete in every respect. Absolute. Unqualified. No, not that type of unqualified. Though in that case, yes. What little SS Miller is claiming here is that Trump has complete unlimited control over the military to do with it what he pleases. No. And by the way, we need to make sure that this ends up in the hands of all the state's attorneys. They need to know for all their legal battles against the White House that someone from the White House and very high up in the administration is arguing plenary authority. And the funny thing is, he immediately realizes he messed up. This whole technical difficulty thing does not make sense. That's not what happened here. Little SS Miller was talking completely uninterrupted, said a word, and then froze. By the way, if you needed any more confirmation about the brain power behind this hate, if the audio had just cut out, he would have had no idea because he was the one talking. If he started getting a different audio issue, maybe like a weird noise or interference, he would have said that, or at least any normal human being would have said, I'm getting a weird noise. This was little SS Miller realizing immediately that he really stuck his foot in it. He said the quiet part out loud. One commenter even suggested that perhaps he had been rehearsing this argument to roll out at a later date. And I think that might not be far off. Maybe it wasn't so much rehearsal, but it's clear that this is language that slipped out because that is how he's viewing it and how he's talking about it. They are prepared to claim complete, unlimited authority to do whatever he wants with the military. Wake up. By the way, if you wanted any confirmation of why AI overviews or tech companies are not your friends, when I went to pull up US Code Title 10, which by the way, everyone should download before they try anything sneaky, it was clear people had been looking this up because the top suggested search was US Code Title 10 plenary authority. I clicked to see what people were being served up. And sure enough, in the AI overview, it says that while the US Code does not explicitly use the term plenary authority, instead it defines the authority of the president to call members and units of the National Guard into federal service to suppress rebellion, repel invasion, or execute federal laws, which is a form of broad or plenary power over military forces. And I think it's important that we understand what's happening here because too many people are relying on these AI overviews and ChatGPT, which by the way, you should never go to for factual answers. Plenary does not mean broad. Some people may use it that way, but it means unqualified. Absolute. And by definition, even according to this AI overview, the fact that the powers are defined and limited to specific circumstances makes them not plenary. That qualifies them. Now, can you debate exactly how broad those powers are under those specific circumstances? Sure, and they are. This is also not the only place in our legal code where these powers are defined or limited. Lastly, by the way, even if we were to just look at this statute, even if he calls the National Guard into federal service to quote unquote quell rebellion, quote, orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of these states. And guess what? Governors, while they have to follow federal law, cannot be compelled to follow a presidential order because we have something called the anti-commandeering doctrine. It's part of that little states' rights thing. Basically, the principle is that the federal government cannot take over or commandeer a state government to use it as part of the federal government. Ojo, or oye, as it were. It's called a doctrine because this is Supreme Court interpretation of our Constitution. The idea that commandeering would violate the structure of federalism, which means, and yes, you already see where this is going, that the Supreme Court could in fact decide to walk that back. However, that still doesn't give the president plenary powers over the military. The good news, if you can call it that, is that number one, this isn't surprising that this is their goal. Number two, if attorneys are made aware of this, at least they can start preparing their arguments against this language that's obviously going to start being rolled out as part of some argument or another very soon. The third bit of good news is I figured out what Stephen Miller sounds like. First, what you gotta understand is that because he's trying to come off as tough and he's a widow baby, he's in a perpetual pout when he talks like this. Number two, you gotta understand that he's a California boy, so you gotta place that pout on one of the characters from SNL's The Californians. I'm totally taller than 4'10". Oh, and the last bit of good news is I'm fairly certain he had to go change his pants after that interview.
Fam, you cannot make this up. Stephen Miller, yes, the same controversial former advisor, was just on camera claiming that the president has plenary power over the military and then froze mid-sentence. So I had to watch this twice because it was that awkward and hilarious, but also kind of scary if you think about what he was implying. Yeah. Today we are breaking down what Stephen Miller said and got wrong, what plenary power actually means, why this matters for the military, democracy, and checks and balances, and of course, the cringe moment that went viral. Let's get into it.
We have some major news that not enough people are talking about. If you watched Stephen Miller's interview on CNN yesterday, he abruptly froze after he started talking about alleged plenary authority that he and the White House have to deploy the National Guard. Now, if that doesn't freak you out, it should. He went on to say in this interview, quote, under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority, and then he made an abrupt stop. And people are saying, well, this is Stephen Miller revealing too much of what the administration thinks it's expansive and vast executive authority, especially as it relates to deploying the United States military. And truthfully, it probably is. Now, CNN says that there was a malfunction during the interview, which is what ended up making him stop. But neither CNN nor Stephen Miller nor the White House have discussed this plenary authority comment since. And well, I've said it from the beginning, the Trump administration is setting the stage for invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807. A Trump judge has said that Trump is setting the stage for possibly invoking martial law. This is real, and it should be a concern for many. So spread the word. I'll continue providing you updates every step of the way. Follow along for more.
The president has plenary authority.
Stephen? Stephen? You've called the district judge's ruling blocking the deployment of National Guard in Oregon legal insurrection. Does the administration still plan to abide by that ruling?
Well, the administration filed an appeal this morning with the Ninth Circuit. I would note the administration won an identical case in the Ninth Circuit just a few months ago with respect to the federalizing of the California National Guard. Under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority.
Stephen? Stephen? Hey, Stephen, can you hear me? It seemed, Stephen, I apologize. It seems like we're having a technical issue. We'll try to fix that and get back to you after a quick break.
We have some major news that almost no one is talking about. Yesterday, during an interview on CNN, Stephen Miller suddenly froze, right after he started talking about the alleged plenary authority that he and the White House supposedly have to deploy the National Guard. Now, if that doesn't freak you out, it should. He literally said, under Title 10 of the U.S. Code, the president has plenary authority, and then he just stopped. Cut. Gone. CNN claims it was a technical malfunction, but since then? Silence. No statement from Miller, no clarification from CNN, and nothing from the White House. So what was he really about to say? Many believe this was Miller slipping up and revealing something bigger, something the administration doesn't want out yet. Because remember, Trump's team has been openly talking about the Insurrection Act of 1807, and even a Trump-appointed judge has warned that Trump could be laying the groundwork for martial law. This isn't fear-mongering. This is exactly how power is quietly expanded while the public looks the other way. Don't ignore this. If you care about democracy, share this video, comment what you think is going on, and make sure you follow for ongoing updates because things are about to get a lot more serious.
So here is the clip. Stephen Miller is on camera talking about presidential powers, and he says something like, the president has plenary power over the military, and then he literally freezes mid-sentence, like he forgot what he was going to say. What? People online immediately started laughing and sharing the clip. The social media, oh my God. Some thought it was a slip, Some thought it was a complete misunderstanding of the Constitution. But let's pause. Let's pause. This is not just funny. It's actually important because it highlights confusion over presidential authority in the US. Yeah. Now let's explain what he was talking about. Plenary power basically means complete or absolute power over something. In theory, Miller was trying to suggest the president has absolute control over the military. But here is the thing, that's not how the US Constitution works. Yeah, that's not how it works. The president is the commander-in-chief, yes, but Congress controls funding and declares war. 2. Military leaders provide advice and implement policy. 3. There are checks and balances to prevent abuse of power. Those are 3 things. So saying the president has plenary power over the military, that's not just wrong, it's dangerously misleading. So why does this matter? Statements like this can make people fear or misunderstand how much power the president actually has. Yeah, it also highlights the influence of advisors. Some may exaggerate power for political reasons. And of course, in a viral clip, it just makes you go, wait, did he just freeze? So while the moment is funny, it's also a reminder. People in positions of influence should understand the law before claiming absolute power. Now let's talk about the reactions. Oh my god, the clip went viral immediately. Memes, tweets, and commentary exploded online. People called it the awkwardest political freeze moment ever. Politically, it's a reminder that misstatements about presidential power can spread quickly and shape public perception. Yeah. And some are using it to mock Miller. Others are debating whether the president really does have unchecked authority. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't, and thank goodness for that. So here is the takeaway. Stephen Miller tried to claim the president has plenary power over the military and froze. It's funny, it's viral, but it's also a reminder that our democracy is built on checks and balances. Always question claims of absolute power because in the US, no one is above the law. Yeah, no one is above the law. Alright, that's all I had to say about this. Drop your thoughts below in the comment. What did you think of the freeze? Do you think people take presidential power too literally? Let's discuss. Yeah, let's discuss, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because moments like this deserve to be talked about. See you in the next one. Bye.